It's 7 a.m., you wake up, grab your phone, and your newsfeed is completely blowing up with a headline that feels like a total fever dream. Gen Z has just taken over the government. Suddenly, the new president is streaming their inaugural address on TikTok live, the federal minimum wage just got raised to a 25 an hour, and everything you knew about society is flipped upside down. Because within 24 hours of taking office, the entire economy faces a brutal reality check, starting with their very first executive order. So the very first thing you'd actually notice isn't some boring law being passed. It's your timeline. You know how half the internet right now is just people begging for money to pay for insulin or an emergency surgery? Yeah, that's just gone. The new government completely dismantles the private health insurance industry and establishes universal healthcare as a fundamental right. And I'm not just talking about basic checkups. If you get sick or need some crazy expensive treatment, you walk into a hospital, they fix you, and you literally just go home. That's it. No arguing with insurance companies on the phone, no secret fees, and absolutely no wiping out your entire life savings just because you tripped and broke a leg. Now you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, but who is actually paying for all this? The billionaires. The era of the ultra rich using cheat codes to pay zero in taxes is officially dead. The new government slaps a massive wealth tax on them, and instead of bailing out Wall Street, they dump all that money straight back into the people, fully funding the new healthcare system and diverting the rest into education. Public colleges become completely tuition free. But here is the wildest part: with one stroke of a pen, the president wipes out over $1 trillion in existing student loan debt. Millions who've been suffocating under financial anxiety since 18 woke up free. But honestly, making schools free doesn't mean anything if kids are still terrified to even sit in a classroom. Gen Z is the generation that literally grew up doing active shooter drills instead of fire drills. So they don't just sit around debating gun laws for another 10 years. They completely rewrite the rules. Nationwide, ultra strict background checks drop immediately. Assault weapons completely banned and bought back by the government. That constant underlying anxiety of just going to the mall or sitting in math class, gone. But they don't just stop at schools and guns. They look at the root cause of why the entire system is broken: corporate corruption. The new government passes a law that completely bans political lobbying, period. No more oil companies or tech giants writing million-dollar checks to politicians to buy laws. And they finally fixed tech greed too by banning companies from forcing your old gadgets to slow down and die on purpose. You know how Apple or Samsung secretly throttle your phone with software updates just to force you to buy the new model? Yeah, that becomes a massive federal crime. The new government legally forces them to make devices that actually last, with cheap, easily replaceable batteries. And of course, what good is a working phone and a free college degree if you can't even afford a place to live? The housing crisis is the next thing to get completely dismantled. The government passes a ruthless law making housing a human right, not a Wall Street investment portfolio. Massive corporations and hedge funds like BlackRock are legally banned from buying up thousands of single-family homes just to jack up the rent. And the homeless crisis? Well, since Gen Z officially mandated a 4-day work week and protected your right to work from home, downtown areas are now full of massive empty corporate office buildings. The state simply buys out those empty skyscrapers, guts them, and turns them into ultra affordable apartments. And just like that, the homeless population drops to near zero because people finally have a realistic place to go. And now that people actually feel safe and have affordable places to live, getting around the city completely changes too. The new government makes public transit 100% free for everyone. No more paying insane prices for gas, no more gridlock traffic. Every single bus, train, and subway becomes completely free and fully electric. Because when you declare war on fossil fuels, shut down all the coal plants, and force the entire country's transit system to run on electricity, the laws of physics catch up. During the first major winter storm, solar fields and wind turbines fail to keep up with the massive new demand for electricity. Power shortages hit major cities, leaving the new electric transit system completely stranded in the dark. Traditional media outlets immediately gloat. Didn't we tell you this was impossible? To survive the freeze, Gen Z doesn't look to the past. They look to tech. They implement an AI-driven smart grid using a national app to reward citizens who ration their power in real time. Instead of backing down or returning to coal, Gen Z turns to the one clean energy source previous politicians were too afraid to touch: modern nuclear energy. By launching a massive program to build next-generation modular reactors, they secure a flawless carbon-free power grid that runs a 24/7, successfully powering their entire green economy without emitting a single gram of CO2. So what does a Gen Z world actually look like in the end? It wouldn't be a perfect, flawless utopia. The transition would be chaotic, the economic shocks would be real, and as we saw with the energy crisis, the learning curve would be brutal. But for the first time in history, human life, safety, and the survival of the planet would be placed above corporate profit margins. It turns out a better world wasn't some impossible, naive dream. We just needed a generation crazy enough to actually build it.